In the quiet moments before you act, a silent storm of thoughts can erupt as your mind circles through every possible outcome, seeking the illusion of certainty even as it paralyzes you. Each mental rewind and fast forward convinces you that deeper analysis will pave a safe path forward, yet with every additional layer of just one more consideration, the distance between intention and action widens. The more you strive for perfect clarity in thought, the further you drift from the momentum that fuels real progress, until even the simplest decision feels immovable. Beneath this restless activity lies a feedback circuit, an internal echo chamber, where self-reassurance masquerades as strategic planning, and the brain rewards avoidance with fleeting relief. In those moments, worry feels productive, as though the search for more information safeguards you against mistakes, even though it quietly cements indecision and robs you of precious time. Recognizing this self-reinforcing loop is the first step toward dismantling it, for only when you shine light on the pattern can you interrupt the cycle that keeps you trapped. Imagine instead the clarity that emerges when you learn to pause the thought spiral and replace it with immediate, science-backed interventions. Picture the shift from mental gridlock to decisive action through simple yet powerful hacks rooted in neuroscience. Techniques that rewire your reward pathways, break repetitive loops, and prime your neural circuits for confident execution. Over the next chapters, you will discover 5 transformative strategies designed to shatter the hold of overthinking and unleash the instant momentum that leads to consistent, high-impact results. The overthinking feedback circuit that paralyzes progress. Every moment you spend retracing your steps in the theater of your mind, you strengthen an invisible loop. Worry prompts more analysis, and that analysis begets more worry. This self-reinforcing circuit creates the illusion of safety, as though each extra thought shields you from error. In reality, the brain's reward centers light up with brief relief each time you delay action, conditioning you to seek these tiny dopamine hits rather than risk movement. Before long, the cycle becomes habitual, and even decisions as simple as sending an email or making a call feel weighed down by the inertia of endless what-ifs. To break free, you must first recognize this cycle for what it is, a reflexive pattern rather than a thoughtful strategy. Awareness of how your mind conflates safety with inaction opens the door to intervention. As you notice the upward spiral of analysis, you gain the power to step outside it, observing thoughts as passing events rather than mandates. That moment of observation, though subtle, fractures the loop's momentum and creates the space for alternative responses, setting the stage for the neuroscience hacks to come. Only by interrupting this feedback circuit can you reclaim the bridge between intention and execution. The path ahead will guide you through techniques that retrain your brain to value quick, decisive action over endless reflection, transforming the echo chamber of overthinking into a launchpad for momentum and measurable progress. Why more thought doesn't equal better decisions? Many of us believe that careful deliberation and exhaustive planning are the hallmarks of sound decision-making. Yet when the prefrontal cortex remains in overdrive, analyzing every variable, forecasting every possible scenario, it can sever ties to the intuitive insights that drive swift, effective action. In such moments, logic becomes mired in minutiae, and the neural pathways that facilitate decisive behavior grow frayed under the weight of incessant scrutiny. The result is a paradox. The more you think in search of the perfect choice, the less capable you become of making one. Scientific studies reveal that overactivation of analytical regions in the brain depletes the resources needed for rapid, gut-level responses. Just as a muscle fatigues when overworked, so too does the mind when it remains locked in relentless thought cycles. Intuitive decision-making, which relies on subconscious pattern recognition, becomes dulled, leaving you vulnerable to hesitation and second-guessing. Recognizing that rational mastery has its limits is crucial to regaining the balance between thought and action. By understanding this myth, you liberate yourself from the assumption that extended reflection guarantees optimal outcomes. You learn that true expertise arises from harmonizing analysis with instinct, letting the mind gather essential information, but then trusting the deeper currents of learned experience to guide you. Only when you release the grip of overthinking can you restore the fluid interplay between cognition and intuition, setting the stage for the rapid, confident action that defines high performance. Hack 1. Neural pattern interrupt to stop the thought spiral. In the midst of a relentless thought spiral, your brain has become accustomed to its own patterns, automatically cycling through concerns and possibilities. To disrupt this loop, you introduce a neural pattern interrupt, an unexpected stimulus that jolts your sensory or motor pathways into a new configuration. For instance, a sudden change in posture, rapid tapping of the fingertips, or the brief engagement of a contrasting sensory input like the cold splash of water on your face can pull the mind out of its habitual orbit. This technique leverages the brain's need for coherence. When you introduce an incongruent signal, the neural networks dedicated to the overthinking loop must momentarily pause to process the novelty, creating a temporal opening for you to redirect your focus. In that gap, you can shift to a constructive action, drafting a swift outline, taking a purposeful breath, or stepping away to engage in a brief physical activity. By timing the interrupt at the first sign of repetitive thought, you prevent the recurrence of the loop and begin training your brain to expect actionable alternatives rather than endless rumination. Repeated micropractices of this interruption reshape your neural architecture, weakening the pathways that supported overanalysis and strengthening those that favor swift engagement. What once required conscious effort becomes an automatic pivot. The slightest shift in sensation triggers an immediate recalibration of attention, ensuring that thought patterns serve your goals rather than stall them. Through the neural pattern interrupt, you reclaim agency over your mind's momentum, transforming paralysis into propulsion with a simple, science-backed gesture. The emotional cost of analysis paralysis. How anxiety feeds overthinking. Beneath every prolonged deliberation lies a current of anxiety that distorts your perception of risk, inflating problems into monumental barriers rather than manageable challenges. As worry intensifies, the amygdala signals the prefrontal cortex to stall, seeking refuge in further analysis to avoid the discomfort of action. This emotional hijacking not only prolongs indecision, but also amplifies stress hormones, which in turn further diminish your capacity to think clearly, creating a vicious cycle where anxiety and overthinking feed each other. In this state, the world appears more treacherous than it truly is, and every choice becomes a potential source of anguish rather than an opportunity for progress. Your energy drains into hypothetical catastrophes, leaving less mental bandwidth for creative problem-solving or decisive movement. Understanding the emotional cost of analysis paralysis is critical. It reveals that unchecked worry does not protect you, but instead ensnares you in a feedback loop that undermines both your well-being and your productivity. By confronting how anxiety amplifies the hidden loop of overthinking, you illuminate the urgency of emotional regulation. Recognizing this dynamic opens the door to targeted practices that soothe the nervous system, enabling your mind to emerge from the fog of fear and rediscover the clarity needed for swift, confident action. Hack 2. Dopamine pre-feedback loop. For instant momentum. In the battle against overthinking, few forces rival the pull of instant gratification. Your brain's dopamine system, wired to reward novel and pleasurable experiences, often dismisses the promise of long-term achievement in favor of immediate, low-effort wins. To counter this bias, you can create a pre-feedback loop, a rapid sequence of microtasks that deliver predictable, bite-sized rewards before the main action even begins. Each completed microtask, whether it's setting a timer, jotting down a key idea, or organizing your workspace, triggers a small dopamine release, priming your reward circuits to associate action with positive feedback. By structuring your approach so that the first moments of engagement guarantee success, you recondition the brain to crave productive work instead of seeking distraction. The trick lies in choosing microtasks that are simple enough to finish in under a minute, but meaningful enough to signal progress. Tasks like drafting a single sentence of an email, placing your most important resource within arm's reach, or taking one deliberate breath to center your focus. As you stack these micro wins, the cumulative dopamine spikes build an anticipatory momentum that carries you smoothly into more substantial tasks. Over time, this pre-feedback loop becomes a self-sustaining engine of productivity. Your mind learns to expect reward from the act of beginning, dissolving the resistance that once stalled your first step. What was formerly a hurdle transforms into a launch pad, and the thrill of quick success propels you into the deeper work that truly matters. In harnessing the dopamine pre-feedback loop, you turn your brain's craving for pleasure into an ally, ensuring that instant action feels as gratifying as it is effective. Hack 3. The 2-minute clarity canvas. When your mind is crowded with ideas, concerns, and looming possibilities, clarity can feel as elusive as a solitary star on a cloudy night. The 2-minute clarity canvas offers a structured writing ritual that channels this chaos into a concise, actionable plan. In just one breath and the stroke of a pen, you transform swirling thoughts into 4 targeted answers. What is the immediate challenge? Why does it matter? What resources do I have? What one next step will move me forward? By dedicating precisely 2 minutes to noting responses in this order, you activate both hemispheres of your brain, rapidly organizing analytic insights on one side while engaging creative problem-solving on the other. The act of writing grounds your abstract anxieties into tangible touchpoints, allowing your prefrontal cortex to draft a clear map where once there was only fog. Suddenly, the path forward appears not as a labyrinth of options, but as a single, compelling step, and the momentum you generate through that clarity dissolves the paralysis of indecision. Repeated each time overthinking threatens to stall you. The 2-minute clarity canvas evolves into a dependable trigger for decisive action. What began as a simple writing exercise grows into an instinctive habit. At the first hint of mental overwhelm, you reach for your canvas and emerge with a focused directive. In harnessing this brief yet powerful ritual, you reclaim the bridge between thought and execution, proving that clarity, once thought to require hours of reflection, can indeed arise in just 2 intentional minutes. Hack 4. Pre-action visualization for confidence under pressure. Before executing a critical task, your mind can falter under the weight of expectation, hesitating at the threshold of action while doubts swirl. Pre-action visualization primes your neural circuits for success by mentally rehearsing each step in vivid detail, engaging the same brain regions activated during actual performance. By closing your eyes and picturing the exact sequence, your posture, your tone of voice, the rhythm of your movements, you build a subconscious blueprint that guides your body and mind when you move from thought into reality. In this concise exercise, you spend a moment imagining yourself initiating the task with calm precision, encountering potential challenges with poise, and achieving the desired outcome with ease. The brain cannot distinguish between real and vividly rehearsed experiences, so the rehearsal strengthens the motor and cognitive pathways required for execution. As you repeatedly visualize success under pressure, you instill a sense of familiarity and control, reducing the adrenaline-fueled anxiety that often accompanies high-stakes moments. Over time, this focused rehearsal becomes a reliable trigger. At the first sign of hesitation, you summon the mental movie you have created, and your neural patterns shift from uncertainty to confidence. The transition from visualization to action flows seamlessly, and the performance you imagine manifests almost effortlessly. In harnessing pre-action visualization, you transform anticipation into assurance, ensuring that when it matters most, your mind and body respond with the mastery of someone who has already succeeded. Inspiring true story. From analysis paralysis to unstoppable execution, Sophia's career stalled not from lack of talent, but from the relentless spiral of overthinking that consumed her days. Each decision, whether crafting a simple email or preparing a presentation, became a sinkhole of hypothetical scenarios and worst-case outcomes. The constant mental replay left her exhausted, and her confidence eroded until she questioned her own competence. Desperate for change, she embraced Tracy's neuroscience hacks with determined curiosity. On her first day, Sophia used the neural pattern interrupt, a brisk walk around her office floor that snapped her mind out of an hour-long loop of drafting and redrafting proposals. Soon after, she implemented the dopamine pre-feedback loop, breaking larger tasks into 3 micro-actions that guaranteed quick successes: a completed outline, a polished opening sentence, a formatted slide. Each small win reconfigured her reward system to crave progress rather than perfection. When anxiety threatened to paralyze her, Sophia turned to the 2-minute clarity canvas, distilling her tangled thoughts into one prioritized next step. That brief ritual dissolved her hesitation and propelled her into action. Before major deadlines, she relied on pre-action visualization, mentally rehearsing her delivery until the real moment felt like déjà vu. Within 30 days, her productivity soared, deadlines were met with confidence, and her reputation as an indecisive manager transformed into that of an agile leader. Sophia's journey illustrates how the deliberate application of neuroscience-based techniques breaks the chains of overthinking and replaces them with a momentum so compelling that indecision becomes unthinkable. Her story stands as a testament to the power of interrupting feedback loops, leveraging micro-rewards, and priming the mind for instant execution, proving that unstoppable progress begins the moment you decide to act. Over the past 40 minutes, you have journeyed from the paralyzing grip of overthinking to the liberating flow of decisive action, uncovering 5 neuroscience-based hacks that shatter indecision. You have seen how the feedback circuit of analysis loops traps intention, how excessive rational thought can undermine instinct, and how anxiety magnifies every choice into a barrier. Then, through targeted interventions, neural pattern interrupts, dopamine pre-feedback loops, clarity canvases, and pre-action visualizations, you learn to rewire your brain's responses, transforming hesitation into instant momentum. Each of these strategies, when practiced consistently, compounds into a resilient system of execution. The story of Sophia's transformation shows that even the most entrenched patterns of overanalysis can be dismantled within a month, replaced by a rhythm of action that feels natural and unstoppable. By integrating these hacks into your daily routine, you recalibrate your neural pathways to favor movement over stagnation, ensuring that progress becomes your habitual response to any challenge. Now, the path forward is yours to command. Choose one neuroscience hack to apply immediately, observe its impact on your decision-making, and build upon that success with the next technique. Share your breakthroughs with peers or mentors to reinforce accountability, and watch as each moment of action erodes the old cycles of overthinking. Your capacity for rapid, confident execution awaits. Embrace these insights, take instant action, and let unstoppable progress define your journey.